and we are going to talk about tools that you can use to help your job seekers do a more proactive job search on LinkedIn and Twitter, and we'll look at a few other things. Now, this is more about not the profile of LinkedIn, but we will look at some of the tools you can use for LinkedIn profiles, because people need to have a good profile before they start doing some of these other actions. And then we're going to look at a checklist that we use in our social media for job search class that will let you go through it with your clients and really talk about what actions can they be taking on all of these platforms. The one we'll look at today is LinkedIn. I know most of you are most interested in LinkedIn. So we'll look at that and give you the opportunity to see that checklist today. So we are starting our social media for job search tomorrow, and I want to answer any questions that you all might have about this. I want to give you some of these tools that you can use for clients, both to make sure their profile is up to snuff, and then also to get their other information ready and start interacting with people on social media. So we're going to talk about that 3 tools that they can use, 2 for LinkedIn, 1 in Twitter, and then we'll go through that checklist of actions that they can take for a more proactive LinkedIn experience and connecting with people that might want to hire them. So this is really important because right now we've got people that are wanting to change careers. And if their profiles aren't optimized, of course, they're not going to get found. But even if their profiles are optimized, the opportunities for them to kind of show up in recruiter search results are pretty low, right? They're changing careers. They're not going to have necessarily all of those same keywords, and they might not yet be engaged in those communities, which we'll talk about. How do we help them get engaged more in those communities? And then also, if people are in industries that are starting to slow down, those aren't, recruiters aren't going to be going out necessarily using these tools to find people. They're not going to be struggling to find people in a few months, perhaps. And so how can our clients be more proactive to get into their feeds, to get into those communities? And then lastly, even if those recruiters are going out to search for people, if our clients want the job, right? Not just a job, but they want the job that is that job that they want to work for the company, they want to do that proactively, not just wait to see if that recruiter is going to find them because their profile is optimized. So we're going to go through these tools, we'll go through that checklist and answer any questions that you have about using these tools. So let's dig in and look at this first tool. Now, this first tool, you might say, Marie, I've seen that before, but I just had to show it to you again because I gave a presentation recently to a room, I don't know, maybe 60 to 100 career services providers, and none of them had seen it. And so if you have seen this before, keep writing about it, keep talking about it, keep posting about it on LinkedIn, because if there's a room full of career services providers that haven't heard about it, you can pretty much guess that there's a huge amount of clients that haven't heard about it either. So we still need to be sharing this. It's called LinkedIn Explorer. Let me pop the link up here on the screen for you, see if I can find it. So here's the link. It is it's a specific page. You're not going to get to it by navigating through LinkedIn. You have to type in the URL or search LinkedIn Explorer in your search bar, and you will find this page. LinkedIn, find jobs with the skills you already have. It just looks like kind of a normal page until you start scrolling and you see all the tools that are available for you. So again, it's a long scroll. I'm just going to keep scrolling. It gives you the directions. It tells you how it works. You and your clients can read that if you want to. And again, if you've seen this before, keep talking about it, keep writing about it, because people haven't heard about it and they need to. Why? Because it tells you exactly what you should have in the skills area and the about section and the experience section of your LinkedIn profile if you want a better chance of getting found. Now, we're going to talk about how we need to be more proactive than getting found, but this is something that everyone should know about and should be using as they're populating their job descriptions in LinkedIn. Yes, of course, we want to look at actual job descriptions, and we'll look at a tool for that in a minute, but this tells you, per the title, what are the most popular skills And that's the skills that recruiters are going to be searching, right? So I get down here and I get to the geography, and you can put in your geography. It really doesn't matter that much. And then you want to put in that job title. Now, the first thing that's really cool about this system is the job titles area, because it's giving you the job titles that are the most. So if I'm working with an engineer and let's say they're, a materials engineer or something, I can look at what that might be called. And then are there synonyms that I should be using as well? So if I'm down here and I'm going through this with my client, and they're like, oh, materials engineer isn't there. Is it manufacturing engineer? And there might be different names, and they would still put materials engineer somewhere in their job titles, but they're going to want to find one of these job titles that mostly matches what they're aiming for, because this is what is most likely someone is searching for. And so I can go through this with them and help them pick out the most relevant, appropriate job titles. But this drop down is showing me the ones that are most popular in LinkedIn, the most likely to be searched, etc. So once I pick my title, reliability engineer, then it pops up with all those skills on the left. And that, let me see if I can do that, Victoria. So Victoria is asking me to put in the link. Let me see. It doesn't show up everywhere. So I'll try, and you can, it doesn't show up on LinkedIn. I'll go back into LinkedIn later and drop the link. But again, if you just Google LinkedIn Explorer, you will come to this site. So as I put in my job title, then it gives me these skills over here that are the most important skills for that job. I need to make sure these skills, if relevant, my client has done them, that they're in the skills section, that they're in the experience section, that they're in the about section, right? They need to be all those places, because these are the most important skills, the most common skills for the job, and then the most likely, of course, to be searched by recruiters. I would also go into the job description and get those words, but I want to make sure that these words are in there. Now, it will also show you other job titles that your client might be interested in. Honestly, I mean, this is of minimal use to me, because when we're doing career exploration, we're usually looking at a bigger change than these titles would be, but they may be helpful for some of your clients, these suggestions for other titles. What I really use this for is this: what are the titles and what are the skills that someone should have in their LinkedIn profile based on those titles that they're targeting? It's free. It's available to everyone. It doesn't require you to log into LinkedIn. There are some ways that it's connected to LinkedIn if you are logged in, but it's not there. It's not required. So if you aren't using this with clients, I'd highly recommend that you start teaching this, start sharing it. If you have been talking about it for a while, keep talking about it, because I guarantee there's a huge percentage of your listeners, your readers, who haven't seen it before, even though you may feel like I do. I've been talking about it for a year, more than a year, but still finding, as I said, 60 to 100 people in a room at a career services event had not heard of this. They were not using it with their students. And that is, this is a huge tool, free, available to everyone. And everyone should be using it to optimize your profile as much as possible. I'm not sure what link you're talking about, Victoria. This is the LinkedIn. Yeah, shoot me a message, Victoria, and let me know what link you're talking about. This is the only one I've shared so far, which is this LinkedIn Explorer site. And again, at the top, it just looks like this. So this is how it looks at the top. And you have to keep scrolling to get down to this area where I'm at right now. So it's the only link we've looked at so far. It has those people when you're looking at it at the top, and then you just keep scrolling down to get to this area where I'm at now. So this is the only link that we've looked at so far. Hopefully that helps. If not, Victoria, shoot me a message. Okay, So that is the free one, available to everyone, easy to use as long as you know to scroll, right? And type in those titles, look at the drop down. Again, that drop down is huge because it's going to tell you what the common titles are. And titles are the number one thing that recruiters are searching for, right? They want someone who's done that job before, that's the best candidate. And so if we can use the job titles they might be searching, that's going to be the number one keyword in our whole arsenal, is the right title. Now, we can say that we don't like titles and it's silly that we use titles, but it is the way that it's done right now. So if we want to help a job seeker get found, the title's where it's at. So finding those titles, and then once you've found the title that you're interested in, making sure those skills get into the content as well as into the skills list. Put them everywhere you can, right? Because those are the main skills that we want our clients to show up for, in addition to ones that you might get from the job description. So the next feature that I'm going to show you is actually part of LinkedIn. You do have to be logged in, and it has varying degrees of helpfulness depending on your subscription level. So this is just normal LinkedIn, and we're going to go into the jobs section. So we're going to go into the jobs tab right here on the top with a little briefcase. So when we go into the jobs feature, obviously you get your jobs, right? And then you also get this resume builder tool. Now, I really encourage you and your clients to not use their profile as their resume. So that's what this resume builder does automatically, is that it pulls your resume or your LinkedIn content into the profile. And I'm actually going to do that right now, just so I bring in a clean resume, because I've got engineering stuff in some of these, because I work a lot with engineers. And so then it says, what title do you want to aim for? So this is how they can get it started. And then when they actually go to put their resume in, they'll want to put in the resume that you are helping them write, not their profile, because their profile should be more conversational, more storied, longer. Their resume is going to be tight to the point. And I really want the resume to be different than the profile, not different content, but different storytelling, a little bit more context in the profile, so that if I apply to a job, I get the person to look at my resume. And then I also get them to look at my profile. If they're the same, I lose out on FaceTime, because they're going to take a glance at one or the other and say, oh, this is the same as the one I've already seen. So I do want more story in your profile. I don't want them using it as their resume once they get to that point. But when they're doing what we're going to look at right now, they can use their profile, and then they can put in the job title that they're targeting. So I'm just going to type in marketing. Let's say Ray's going to go for a marketing job, marketing manager. And it will tell me the keywords that are in my resume and the suggested keywords. Now, every level is different. If your client has a free version, they will see less here than I do, but they will still see some. If your client is interested, they might do a free trial or pay for it for a month and play around with this feature if they really are, really want the keyword, want that suggestion. So now it's saying, it's looking at my profile, and it's saying these are found in my profile, and these are ones that I should add. Not surprising that there's a whole bunch I should add, because I'm not marketing, right? Well, at least not full-time. So this can be really helpful for your clients. I'm going to go through it again. So we go to the jobs feature, then we do the resume builder. I'm going to do create from profile for this exercise. And then it asked me to put in a job title, and I can put in a new one. Now I'm going to start to get, tons of versions of my resume, and want to come back and maybe delete some of those. But let's say for this one, maybe I'll put in coach and see, these are going to be the business coach. Let's see what that does. So we get a different words that are in my resume, and then keywords that I should add. So they can play around with this for different titles. They obviously, could help them find gaps, a lot of ways that you could use it. but it's how do you make sure you have those right keywords in your profile to get found, and then also, of course, in your resume when you're going to apply. Now, since I mentioned it, I'll come back here so I can change the name up here if I wanted to, note that this is I'm just going to say test so that I know I can go back and delete that one. Go back to the jobs feature here. So I'm going to start over one more time just to show you one thing. And then that resume builder. And then let's see. So I don't know what some of these resumes are that I have in here. This one looks like it is just from my profile. And you can see that, it's pulling from my profile. It's not the best thing to send in as a resume if I was going to apply. So I'd recommend that your clients come in and input the actual resume content that they've worked with you so that they can have a resume they could use if they need to apply for that, apply through LinkedIn button, and they're not using the same exact content that's in their profile. That duplication is going to mean they're not getting FaceTime. Someone's going to notice it's a duplicate and they're not going to read any further. If we make the resume like a resume, easy and fast to read, then they could go to the profile and actually look at the additional content that isn't in the resume that they're using. So just a little note on that feature if you're using that. All right, so do-over. Oh, man. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's come back. I was showing you my Chrome tab. Goodness gracious. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the home page. I have to come back and cut that part out. So here on the home page, and then we're going to go to the Jobs tab here. And on that Jobs tab, then we're going to go to the Resume Builder. And under Resume Builder, I'm going to do Create from Profile. And on Create from Profile, then it gives me the opportunity to put in a job title. And we started with marketing. And so marketing manager really doesn't matter, just playing around with this, and you can do the same with your clients. And then over here on the right, you get the skills that are in my resume, which right now is my profile, right? And then the words that I could add. And so it'd be interesting if you did this, with Explorer to see if it pulls the same job skills or if it's a little bit different using LinkedIn. You will get less skills if you're in the free version, and you get more if you're on premium. Your clients might want to upgrade or do a free trial to see what they think and how that works. So I'll do it again. I'm going to go back. Well, actually, I'm going to fix this title first. I'm going to add test in here so that I can delete this one. Okay, so back to jobs, just the cleanest way to get back there. Resume Builder. This time I'm going to do it again, create from profile. This time, I pull in coach and I will do business coach. And you can see different skills that are aligned to that job show up here, and then different skills that are missing. So your clients can play around with the job titles. They can see what skills are missing. They can do it for free. They just will get less here. And they can do that if they want to upgrade for a month or so and play around with it. And so that feature is very helpful. It is, not as easy perhaps as the other feature that we looked at, the LinkedIn Explorer, because you have to have a premium or you don't get as much information and it's kind of buried in here, right? But that is an option. Now, I was just showing you that if you go to the jobs feature and then that resume builder, that the resumes look, even if you bring it straight from your profile, it's your profile. So I'd recommend that people come in and actually put in the resume content, set up a real, targeted resume for each role, have it be different than their profile, so that they do have that additional content for someone to read in their profile, and their resume is going to be a little bit more pared down. So let me come back and see if I answered all your questions. Okay, hopefully we got there that time. And there we go. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully that was better. And if you have any questions about that one, let me know. So that's just within your your basic LinkedIn profile. It's there for everyone to see. Um, and then you get more insights if you have the premium account. So you get more of those insights of the premium account, but everyone will get some. So those are a couple of tools that you can use to optimize your profile itself in LinkedIn, and to help people do that before they get started on the actions that they want to take. Because of course we know that it's great to get your profile optimized, but what are you actually going to do with that once it's done, right? What are you going to do with that LinkedIn profile once you're done with it? And so in the social media for job search class, we've put together, if you've taken any of my classes, you know that the checklist thing is kind of my deal, that I'm giving you these checklists you can use with clients so that they don't have to start from scratch and you're not recreating the wheel every time. And so we created these checklists that you can use with your clients. And I'm going to show you this one here today. That's cold connecting on LinkedIn. I don't necessarily recommend starting with this, and we talk through all the different strategies. But this one goes through, if you want to find people in your target companies, it's a checklist for your client. So what's the target company that they're aiming for? I think LinkedIn search is hands down easiest when you already have a target company that you're aiming for. And then you can say, okay, I can find connections working at the company. I can see if there's people in my alumni groups that are at that company. And you can actually do this for any college or university. It doesn't have to be one that you graduated from. And then I can find, people using the general search. And then I can also see if there's people also viewed opportunities based on the people that I look at who are at my target companies. I can view their activity page. Then I can see their information and comment on their posts. So it's a simple checklist that your clients can use. And then we've got some, scripts that we talk through in the class. How might you adjust this? What do you think? And email, if they are not active on LinkedIn, you sending them a LinkedIn message is just falling into dead air, right? And so there's opportunities to connect with them outside of LinkedIn if they're not on LinkedIn. So this is, some actions your clients might want to take: finding people, commenting and engaging, and then sending the introduction message once they've made those connections warm a little bit by commenting on their activity. So we have these checklists for you for LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We might be putting one together for TikTok this time because TikTok is exploding. I know some people don't want to use it, and that's fine. But if your clients' companies are there, it might be an opportunity for them. And if you work with young clients and they're already there, they could be using the tool for more than what they might be using it for now. So that's one of the ideas of, getting out of the passive mode and really getting into that active mode of how are you going to connect with people during your job search and not just optimize your profile and sit around and wait for them to come to you. We also go through the jobs feature on LinkedIn. If you haven't looked at that, I'd recommend seeing how they have lots of filters and features in that actual job search feature in LinkedIn. It's like Indeed, right? It's a jobs board, but they do have some good features there that your clients can use to filter jobs, including filtering by remote jobs, filtering by salary, filtering by jobs that are open to hiring someone who's been justice involved. So there are a lot of opportunities there that you may not have been looking at on that jobs feature in LinkedIn. So the other thing that I want to show to you, and this is just a tool that I like. It's a feature that will help you find those keywords in a job description. So I'm going to grab a job description. I just have a basic, materials engineer job description here, and I'm going to pull that in here. This works best in my thoughts If you have a couple of job descriptions that you put together so that you really have rich content, and I don't include the qualifications usually, I just include the responsibilities because all I'm looking for is what are those keywords that they're using over and over again. So I've got client, I've got AR, which I'd have to go back to the job description and see what that is. Maybe it's a typo. Development, electrochemistry, evaluate. So there's all of these visuals that pop out, and I'll do this with clients. I know you can do it in other paid systems, but again, this one is free. Let me drop the link in the chat for you. And if you are, that doesn't come through for you, let me know. But it's, it's easy for people to grab this, do it for free, put the job descriptions in, and get a real quick visual of what are the most important words. So I do LinkedIn Explorer, LinkedIn resume feature, especially if they have premium or you do and you can do it for them, although that won't work because you would be not in their profile. You could upload their resume and use the resume plus that word, but I'm not sure it would work as well. And then this system to get all those keywords that I can and really optimize that profile and then start doing the reach outs that we were showing you in that checklist. So the last thing that I wanted to show you today is, and this is really simple, and you're going to just say, that's really simple, but sometimes simple is good. And sometimes we make things a little bit more complex than we need to because there aren't that, it doesn't have to be that hard. And so when we think about coming in and doing Twitter, oftentimes people say Twitter is so overwhelming or, my clients aren't on Twitter. But I would just say that you don't have to be on Twitter for Twitter to be a good resource. And you don't necessarily have to use Twitter for Twitter to be a good resource. So let's just look at this one here. And I'm just going to show you something really quick on Twitter in case you have clients that are really wanting to research the companies that they're interested in. Twitter is a great place to do research. If they really want to know about the culture and they want to see what they're talking about and what they're doing, the search feature on Twitter is just, it's really good. I had never really tried it before, but a year ago when we were teaching our first social media for job search strategist class, I just came into it and said, what would it do if I put in a company name? And HP is too simple. Sometimes that pulls up a lot of general things. But if I think one of the ones I did was, let's see here, company names. Okay, let's do, I don't even know that they exist anymore. Showing my age here. Yeah, let's not do that one. All right, give me a company name. Oh, here, we'll do this one. I don't know if they even have a presence here, but we'll see. And sometimes that's what you learn too, is that maybe the company doesn't have much of a presence. So I can see that they've got they've got their own stuff that they're putting out, but it doesn't look like they were showing up much in other features, but I could look through theirs. And then this is one of the fun things that Twitter has for you is it suggests these other topics that you might follow. So Cummins, of course, does engines. And so, my client could come in here and see which of these topics are interesting to them. Maybe they want to work in the technology side of it, not necessarily the sports car side of it, maybe renewable energy, or maybe we say, okay, maybe that's not the right company. And I can come up here and search something like Vestas that makes windmills. And it's a little bit more specific term. So I might see what shows up here. If it's people and are they talking about the company that I want, and, powered by Vestas. So I get to see all of the related people and then coming to the company page. And this is where it's going to give me some of the keywords that I might want to follow, topics to follow. So it gives you that opportunity to really expand. And the more specific you get with your terms, the better off you'll be. My husband was looking at some very specific engineering company and then the technology that they work with, and found really good content here. People are sharing articles. It's a lot of information, so the more specific you can be, the easier it will be to follow that. But it does give you their personality. So what are they posting about? It gives you people that are posting about them or tagging them. Who are some of those people that you might engage with? And you don't have to have a really active presence on Twitter to start poking around and seeing, are my clients there? Or are my target companies there? Are people like me there? Who's tweeting about these companies or engaging with the company? And, if I can see some of their tweets don't have that many comments, but some of them might, as I go through here. And so I could see who's commenting on their tweets. Can even see, who's resharing their tweets. I'd have to click in a different way, but I could see who's resharing their tweets. And that would give me some ideas in terms of who I might connect with. You'll get similar information on the LinkedIn company page, but I find that on Twitter, people are more real. People are a little more ruthless towards the company, which could be a bad thing, but it also shows you maybe the not glossy picture that you might get on LinkedIn. And so it can be a good place just to see what's going on, who are some similar companies, very similar to LinkedIn, but different and more information that your clients might be interested in if they're really searching for that company that's going to be a good fit for them. So that was the last thing that I wanted to show you today. And so when you go through these steps, again, the goal is that we're helping our client get more proactive. So is there a good community on Twitter for their company? If not, it might not be a place they stay, but they could go on there and do the research. What are the actions that they're going to take? And it's, I showed you the LinkedIn checklist. They're not very different per platform. And so you as a career coach can help someone use any platform that they're most comfortable with just by knowing some of these steps to take with them. Doing the research, how do you connect? And they will know that if they're on the platform, or you can help them figure it out if neither of you have been that active on the platform. But it's getting them out of what I call the LinkedIn rut. Yes, you want to use LinkedIn, but some of the other platforms are actually more connective. They're easier to connect with people, and they give you an opportunity to do that research a little bit more incognito, if you will. No one's going to see that you looked at their profile, etc. And so, yes, you can turn that off in LinkedIn, but it could be easier on other platforms. So just something to check out with your clients. And again, we start our social media for job search class tomorrow. We go through all of these platforms for you. We have checklists for all of the platforms for you and your clients so that you can help them have a more well-rounded social media job search and really find the communities where the people they want to work with and the companies they want to work for are, and they can become known and get those jobs that they want. So that's what that class is all about. Hopefully these tips have been helpful, and we will look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thank you, everyone.